Hi everyone. Thank you for tuning in for Banyan Botanicals. I'm Valerie, and this is a very special conversation we're having today with some of our team members from our internal team. And today we're talking about this whole idea of how, as informed consumers, we start to recognize the impact that our purchases really start to have on the planet and on society as well. And at the same and as businesses, what does this start to look like when we start to track accountability and transparency, social responsibility, and environmental responsibility? So joining us today is our very own Erin Douglas.
Hi.
Thanks, Erin, for hopping on today.
Yeah, this is so fun. It's my first time doing this.
Awesome. Well, so glad that you're here. So Erin Douglas is our Banyan Botanicals Social and Environmental Responsibility Manager. What a huge position to hold, Erin. Thank you so much.
Yes. And big gratitude for Banyan for even creating the position.
Definitely. Yeah. How long have you been in that role, Erin? Because I know a lot of our community knows you from your time here at Banyan.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I've been with Banyan for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in July 8th. And I started I've held various different roles, working as our unofficial social environmental responsibility manager during that time, and then moved part-time into that role for some time. And then when we were ready, when we could afford a full-time position, I went full-time a few years back. And yeah, a dream come true. It's like absolutely the most amazing, heart-centered work for me. It's such a blessing to do this work in the world and for Banyan. So what an honor. Thanks for having me. And happy B Corp. Happy B Corp month.
Happy B Corp month. Yes, you hold the role so well, Erin, and it's incredible the strides you've made just in prioritizing this work as well for Banyan, as well as being a leader in that space too, because I know you have a lot of connections out there with other companies that are working in this space too.
That's right. Yeah. And well, let's get into it. You want to ask me questions?
Let's get into it. And I always love to share with everyone that I meet that knows you too, the whole reason I came to work at Banyan was because of Erin Douglas, because we met and I immediately was so drawn to you that I was like, I want to work with Erin wherever she works.
Oh my goodness. And yeah, you're absolutely one of my favorite people. I think it just works that way, doesn't it sometimes?
It does. Yeah, we gravitate towards each other, but it's wonderful. But yes, let's get into this convo about B corporations, B Corps for short. So let's start with the foundations here. What exactly is a B corporation?
Yes. Well, first, I wish I had a Banyan bottle, but first, what you'll see.
Yeah, we have it here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So the black bee. Some of you have probably seen that, and I'm guessing a lot of our audience knows what a certified B Corp is, kind of. But that little bee indicates that the company. So it's actually a whole company certification versus a product certification. So you'll see that B Corp on all of our products, no matter what, because it certifies our company is certified as using our business as a force for good. In fact, that's the B Corp motto, is using business as a force for good, which I just love. That's so clear and really inherent with Ayurveda, right? Our business is here to make a difference, to help people achieve health and well-being. So really in alignment with healing the world in some sense. So you've probably heard about state shareholder capitalism, which gets a really bad rap. That simply means that particular business is really all about maximizing profits, and often disregards the people involved in, we'll say, making a product, whether it's employees or the suppliers, in our case, the farmers, and really can disregard the environment, not thinking about, just thinking really short term about maximizing profits. So the B Corp is really the opposite of that. And you may have heard the term stakeholder capitalism. Well, stakeholders are the folks I just mentioned, or the areas I just mentioned. They're the communities we work in and with. There are employees and they're in the environment, and also our customers we consider a stakeholder. So that's really what the difference is. Yeah, stakeholder capitalism, you'll hear that alongside conversations around certified B Corps. If you hear a squeak in the background, I have a puppy squeaking. Hopefully you don't hear that, but it's a dog toy in the background.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I also want to share what's so beautiful is B Corps really intend to do no harm. We inspire to do no harm as we're in business. So you might have also heard of the triple bottom line, which means social, environmental, and profits, because that they're equally considered. Obviously, we want to make a big difference socially and environmentally, but also we want to stay in business. So we also have to make important decisions about, making profits as well, so that we can continue to sell our products and employ our wonderful team. So it's really balanced and a healthy way to do business, and just feels good.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. As we're talking, we're getting some questions too. I think from what Erin and I were talking about, somebody's like, where do I go to find a job for Banyan? Which is a great question. Check our careers page on our website for all the open opportunities we have right now. And
I would encourage you to check out B Work as well. If you search for B Work, that a lot of B Corps will post jobs there.
Awesome. Okay.
Not everyone, but that's a place to look for jobs, and highly recommended. I wouldn't work for, I'll always work for Banyan, but if I went somewhere else, I'd work for a B Corp. It's a must.
Same. I feel exactly the same. Like once you've worked for a B Corporation, it sets the standard really high.
It sure does. Yeah. And of course, we're not perfect. Nobody is, and there's still a lot of work to do. Yeah. But it provides businesses with the framework to kind of measure, see how we're doing, and where we can do better, which is so cool. Just it's an education in itself, which we'll probably get into here in a minute. But before we move on to, I wanted to share this thought too, that we know that business holds such incredible power, right? That to make a difference in the world. And we know that government can't do it alone, because it would have happened already by now, and nonprofits can't do it alone. So I just think the B Corp movement is so inspiring, and it's really full of heart and soul. And when we look at businesses like Patagonia and Dr. Bronner's, who we're partnering with Dr. Bronner's later this month, but they're such great business partners and such great community members to work alongside, and it's just so awesome to be part of the B Corp community.
Definitely. Yes. Okay, so what's one question that we're getting is, what does the B actually stand for?
Yeah, right. That question too. It stands for benefit.
Okay.
So it's kind of along the answer of like stakeholder capitalism, that the business should benefit others, not just owners or shareholders that own the company. And there's actually a legal requirement to become a B Corp, which I won't go into too much because you can Google it, but there's a business designation called the benefit company. And if you become a B Corp and that business designation is available in the state where you filed your business paperwork, then you have to be a benefit corporation. If it doesn't, then you have to change your governing documents, whether, your articles of incorporation and such. You would update those to say that we legally consider our stakeholders, the environment, our employees, workers, the community, and beyond, to when we're making any important business decision. So we consider that. So that's what sets B Corp aside, and it's legally required, and you earn points, which is great in the assessment for doing that, but it's mandatory. So it's a quick way to earn points, but you have to do it.
Okay.
Which is great. That really holds our leadership team, our ownership team accountable, and helps our leadership team feel comfortable making decisions. With that. Yeah.
Well, so when Banyan, tell us how long Banyan's been a B Corporation, and I'd love to hear, because when I got here, Banyan was already a B Corp, but what was that process like of even thinking about becoming a B Corporation, or what was the intention behind moving forward with it?
Yeah, Well, and when I started at Banyan, we were a much smaller company. So I would just ask questions like, you know, in alignment with our values, like, so how are we doing those things? Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to work for a B Corp. I learned about B corporations a while ago, and I wanted to work for a B Corp. So that was one of my dreams, is say, let's do it. So when the time was right, I just presented to our leadership like a one-sheet proposal, let's do this. And they were like, absolutely. You know, it really made sense for already our mission, right? As I mentioned, our values, our pillars of being organic, sustainably sourced, and fair trade. It just made sense. And so we went down that journey. At the time, there was 3 of us. We'd meet weekly, including our current CEO, Kevin Casey. We'd meet weekly, and we'd go through this assessment. And so it took us, we started, I think the conversation started in 2016. We started the assessment in 2017. And we took our time. You know, this is one of the reasons why I love our CEO, Kevin Casey. He has the most integrity of anyone I know. And we took our time to really make sure when we're answering something that our employees are trained up on it, that we're really in integrity before we try to get those points. And one of the great things about B Corp, being a B Corp, and B Lab, the certifying body, they're a nonprofit that works to certify companies as B Corps. They say, you know, everything has to be on paper and in practice. So like that, an example of that is, okay, we're recycling. Most companies recycle, I hope. That's really easy to do. But do you have a policy? Like, so you actually have a policy, and you have to do trainings on that. So that takes it to the next level. So we took our time, and we went through the assessment, which is over 200 questions long, and it's dynamic. It's dynamic. So yes, if I answered yes, we recycle. I wish I could show you all the assessment, but in fact, I would encourage anyone watching now or later. It's a free assessment. It's not free to certify, but it's a free assessment, and it's the most amazing tool for benchmarking and even just education. If you were to like answer yes, we recycle, yes, we're organic, etc., it opens up a whole nother set of questions. And then we're required to add in documentation for those questions. And so it is tremendously rigorous. And to get back to your question, we certified in May 2019.
Okay, so yeah, that was a process to get there. Incredible.
It was. Yeah, it was. It is, and now we're in the recertification process.
Okay.
Again, which is just as rigorous.
Okay, so how often does the B Corporation recertify?
It's every 3 years. You have to go through the certification process again. It used to be every year when they were much smaller, but now it's every 3 years, and that's really good for businesses. I mean, it takes, you know, one of the challenges is how much time it takes. Yeah. We've heard that from other partners too, that we are in community with, and they want to become B corporations, but they're like, it's just such a process that, you know, it takes time. It takes time for some organizations. Definitely. Yeah. And we really celebrated once we got that certification, and it means so much. Yeah, it means so much. So if you see that if you can support companies that are B Corp certified, I think it's just like vote with your dollar thing. You've heard that. It's just, it's the most rigorous certification we have. Of course, we're organic and we're fair trade. We have those certifications. Those are also rigorous. This takes it to the next level and really look, you know, those are product certifications and ingredient certifications. This takes it to the next level and looks at all of our business operations. They're looking at, are we paying our employees fair and living wages, for example. They look at our supply chain activities and how we treat our farmers. In fact, there's something that's, I think, really interesting to know about, is they have something called an impact business model, an IBM, not a bowel movement, but an impact business model. And right now, when we first certified, we got a big chunk of points. So those impact business models, there's probably 8 different types, depending on the industry, but we earned one for being organic. And so that's great. You earn up to 10 points for each of those. And this time around, we're earning points. We're still in the certification process, but it's very likely we'll earn points with our Fair for Life and Fair Trade certifications. So we'll see a bump in our score this time around, which is great.
Very nice. Yeah. Now, when we're recertifying, is there, I mean, I know it's like, it is a feat to become a B corporation. And then what is the B Lab looking for when we recertify? Is like, we want to see your company has grown by this percentage or hit certain milestones?
No, not necessarily. What's so cool about the assessment is it is a positive assessment. Mm-hmm. Where, and you don't, like in school, for example, you start at 100 and then you lose points, right? Mm-hmm. On a paper or something. Mm-hmm. But with the B Corp assessment, you have to hit a minimum of 80 points. Mm-hmm. And I think there's over 200 points that you can get. And it depends a little bit on your unique business model and what your business industry is and such. So it's dynamic, like I said. But what was so great about it is it's all about continuous improvement for sure. Definitely, just like Ayurveda, right? We're always working on that. But generally, once you have earned certain points, you're not likely to lose those points again, and you'll keep improving. You'll just pick another priority. Like every year, we set some priorities across our company. Like this year, packaging is a big one for us, right? As we know, and you'll be hearing about. So when we set those goals ourselves, then we can go and work towards those goals. So there's some things that are mandatory that B Lab requires in order to be a B Corp B corporation. But other things, we get to set those goals ourselves and work towards those improvements. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
makes sense. In doing the assessment and even just through the process of certifying, can you tell us what some of those challenges were that Banyan saw through the process?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think at first we were humbled. Like, mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's a challenge. It was a awakening for us as, we definitely are doing so many great things, but it's such a rigorous assessment that we realized we still had a lot to do.
Wow.
And so that was one awakening. But then also, how do we do those things? And how do we do it in a way that it's really living and breathing in our DNA across our company, that everyone's trained up, and it's not just a box that we check to earn points.
Right.
So one of the things we did, which was a challenge before, to kind of figure out the space to have those conversations. And so we started a couple years ago, we started having monthly, or at least every other month, social and environmental responsibility council meetings, which is so great. So it always includes leadership, and then we bring different internal employees and stakeholders to the table to have conversations about making progress. So, moving forward with something, and how do we find the budget for it, and what do we need to do, and how do you make all those things happen? Who needs to be trained up? And then there's always generally a good story around that too. Yeah. So we're working on that piece, is there's so much goodness happening behind the scenes that would be cool to share with our customers. I think would be really, our community and customers, really meaningful. So I think that's one of the things we're also working on, getting really better at sharing some of our progress. Yeah. And I will say that the environmental section of the assessment itself was really challenging, and they B Lab recommends start with your people. So start with that section. Start with the people, because you'll get some momentum there quicker.
That's incredible.
And they're changing that a little bit, where there's some new requirements so that companies must measure scope 1 and 2 emissions at minimum. And so they're building in some new requirements as they update the standard. They also update the standard every 3 years. So they're adding in new requirements and new questions constantly. So you might actually see a B Corp's score drop, but it's not because they failed in any way. It's because the standard got more rigorous.
Yeah.
And so it's yeah.
So B Corp is like doing the same thing, as they're expecting the certifying companies to continue to improve, and they're doing that exact same thing, which is amazing to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I love this idea too of like even just that encouragement from B Corp, like start with the people, the boots on the ground. Like that's so important. And I will say that I love that Banyan does this, and I think, of course we have room to grow, but even just the fact that we consider stakeholders and like who plays a role in this big decision or in this way we want to move towards, who plays a role, and let's talk to them and figure out like how can we make it happen. That's incredible, just to have a voice in a company, because I feel like, so I don't know, at least in my experience, that's been rare to have a voice.
Right. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, stakeholder inclusion. It's like, is this business decision, who's it going to affect? And let's include them in the conversation. It's so really cool. Simple and so powerful.
Yeah.
Like the goodwill that generates, right? Just to feel like your voice is heard, whether or not this decision is the decision you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, so powerful. That's, I think, a secret sauce in life. I can do that better with my partner.
That's just good general advice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I love that, Erin. Well, so then through our assessment and through now a few years of being a B Corporation, what areas do you feel like Banyan will grow into, or what are we aspiring to get towards?
Yeah, well, I guess one of the things I'm excited about is making progress on the environmental section inside. Like I mentioned, B Lab says get started there, but really work with people first. So what we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes on measuring our emissions, for example, so climate action, and we include packaging in that as well. It's waste reduction, climate action in general. So with our emissions, without getting in too much detail because it's quite complex, but we've worked to measure our scope 1 and 2 emissions, and that's really about the energy use at our buildings and our owned vehicles. And then beyond that, we've started to measure our scope 3 with our flights and looking at that emission. And now we're collaborating with other B Corps through the Sustainable Herbs program. We started collaborating about a year ago, and we're working on measuring our emissions together with shared suppliers. So there's a term called pre-competitive collaboration. So that means we do get together with the mission of making progress sooner, and we will even sometimes, share our suppliers and things, which generally you wouldn't really do. But this is the energy and the love and the intention that B Corps bring to the table as we say, let's work together to make a bigger difference in the world faster. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about. Most people might have heard about offsets. So carbon offsets, that's where you go and buy a certified carbon credit. And there's actually a marketplace. It's kind of like the stock market. It's a carbon market, and you would buy those certified offsets. But that's not our ideal, because we want to work. We have the unique opportunity in our business through agriculture practices to directly impact our own suppliers through an inset project versus an offset, something that's not so relevant for us, like buying solar in Indiana. I'm making that up. What would be more relevant for us is putting solar on the herb drying rooms facility to then reduce right in our own supply chain. So we're looking at doing that. I see the hearts. Isn't that so cool? So that's called insetting versus offsetting.
That's so cool.
And it builds relationships. It impacts the people that we know directly, and actually makes our own supply chain more resilient in the process. So those are the things I'm most excited about, and where I see we have the most opportunity to keep growing. And then of course our packaging.
Oh yeah, tell us more about. Tell us what you can tell us.
Yeah. So we've been working so hard behind the scenes for years. I mean, 7 years. We've heard our customers, this is a big concern for a lot of people, that we want more eco-friendly packaging. And we're learning a lot. So packaging packaging, you know, there's a thing called a life cycle assessment, and the life cycle assessment looks at materials mined, for example, to make a glass bottle, and all the way through the recyclability, the end of life. So what is that? What is the emissions, and then like the whole assessment? It's an environmental assessment the whole way through. So we've learned a lot by looking at other companies' life cycle assessments, and also doing a little bit on our own, but it's a really rigorous process. But we're going to be rolling out new packaging this year. So I would just say stay tuned. I think in the next few months, you'll start to see some content from us around rolling out new packaging. But it's going to be really exciting. I think the one thing that we're most excited about, and it's safe to share, is we're moving into ocean-bound plastics. So that's not only removing waste from the stream, it's using post-consumer recyclables, and it's improving the livelihoods of people that live near those waterways where stuff is getting dumped. So there's like a much benefit there that we're really excited to start sharing with y'all.
That's amazing. Yeah, even just coming to that point of like doing so much research over the last few years to see like what is the best vehicle for us. And I love that there's like so many points that are being measured too, not just like where the material comes from, but like what happens afterwards, and like even though I'm sure we took into consideration the weight of like how does this ship out to our customers as well, and what's the cost of that?
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot to consider. Like sometimes climate friendly packaging can look like plastic because it is lower weight and you don't have to wrap it, and you get all this extra secondary packaging waste, and you get breakage and things. But you know, we look at all of this, and we're you'll see we're rolling out some different products in glass too. So stay tuned. Yeah.
And I just love too that we can say, like, because that is a question that we get asked a lot, is about the Banyan packaging. So I love that we can say that like we hear you and we're working on it, and like we don't have a perfect solution right now, but it is in the works, and that'll be a really fun conversation. Maybe we need to have our team on when we do roll out some of that new packaging.
That would be really fun. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we've spent, I would say, thousands of hours researching.
Wow. Going
to conferences on packaging, and we joined the One Step Closer Packaging Collaborative, and that has really helped us because it's a difficult, it's a challenge for everyone in the consumer goods industries, reducing packaging. So we were helping to drive innovation, working with packaging partners, and supporting that innovation for more eco-friendly packaging. And we're all working together, which I think that's the spirit of a B Corp, is like working together, and that community is priceless. Like to be, you know, we can call up our friends at Dr. Bronner's, and we do all the time. And we say, hey, can we see your life cycle assessment? And they've shared different points that have been really helpful education points for us with the packaging collaborative industry, and also, you know, directly with us. So the community, I would say from my position, that's one of the most rewarding parts, is working with other professionals in the community and working together for good. It's really cool. And when we first certified, that my team will tell you, I would cry and cry. It just moved my heart so much. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, it was so funny. I know every time I'd say the word B Corp, I'd just start crying because we work so hard, and I see the ripple effects that that certification has just allowed me to see how we've impacted, you know, all of our stakeholders, and so, you know, in every direction.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love your heart, Erin, so much. You know, and as we're talking about this, and you mentioned earlier about this, you know, synergy and connection between how, as Ayurveda, like we're very much in the Ayurveda space as well, of like how we're encouraging this growth and progress, not perfection. Same thing with B Corporation, but even just this idea of like sharing out all of this, you know, I don't want to call them secrets, but sharing out all that we've learned very much has the same flavor of like yoga and Ayurveda practices as well, of like, this isn't one person's information to hold. This is like universal. Let's all benefit from it. Let's all get in it and start living in this space, which is incredible.
I love that reflection. Well, I couldn't say it more beautifully, but that's perfect. And I think that's the spirit of B Corps. They have an annual conference every year. There's local chapters. We get together. There's a Beehive online community where we can ask questions. We can share different policies and learn from each other. So it's very much about sharing and making progress together to make a bigger difference in the world. Yeah, and that it's not competitive. It's like, let's all win.
Yeah.
Because when we all win, the world wins. And that's what, I think ultimately through Ayurveda and this B Corp movement is we want to create a more beautiful world that works for everyone.
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah, and it's very fun to partner with other B Corps. We have a couple of giveaways happening for B Corp month with other B corporations, and it's been such a blast to connect with their teams as well. And we all have been sort of, as we're organizing the giveaways, we've been sharing experiences about that experience, like past experiences of giveaways and what we've learned and what we know not to do, and everybody's just like, oh, that's a really good idea, let's do that. It's a total free space where everyone's so open.
It's just so much more fun to work in that kind of spirit, with that teamwork mentality. It's so the community is just precious and amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
So accepting and non-judgmental and all those beautiful traits that we know are healing. So it's special. Yeah, the icing on the cake for sure.
Yeah, even just that progress, not perfection sort of, path is very healing in itself. Like, you don't have to show up perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that too. I like to use that when we're working in our B Corp assessment. Is sometimes we can get stuck in making it perfect. It's like, no, we can keep making it. We can work on this. This is always like all of our policies are, I'll say our social environmental responsibility policies. We revisit them constantly as we learn. And same is true with packaging. We will learn as there's more innovation, and we'll keep learning and keep improving.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. I love this conversation, Erin. Well, okay, so I'd love to ask you to, as our Banyan Social and Environmental Responsibility Manager, what is something that you envision, maybe if it's for Banyan in the future or just businesses in the future and industry in the future?
It's a good question. I think, again, it's like, I'll say for Banyan, really making sure we're listening. We're listening to our communities, our employees, our suppliers, and I think we're doing a really good job of that. But we can always do better, because that's that magic place, I think, where the magic happens, and we create more harmony in our own business. And then, of course, taking that out into the world is, I think the stakeholder business model is so imperative. And I guess I'd like to see also more women and more people of color showing up in leadership. Not that we're doing a good job of that at Banyan, but just in general, like we're heading to Expo West. So there's a big conference happening this week. It's the natural products industry. And so what we, as a natural products industry, we've identified that, I shouldn't say we, but there are impact partners we work with, like the JEDI Collaborative, the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Collaborative. And we've gone through their programs, and they put on these great presentations at Expo West. But elevating voices, I guess, listening, elevating voices, sharing those stories of people on the front lines. I think that's something I'm really excited about. And in general, creating a world that works for all, and that a more sustainable, just world that's healthy. And, we can't be healthy if we're worried about global warming, for example. So I think I just love that as we're doing our work, hopefully we're inspiring other companies to do the same, and that we're all going to be making progress quicker. And as we share our journeys with our customers, they're joining along with us with their positive action and learning, because it's definitely a learning journey for sure.
Yeah, I love that so much. And even just that simplicity, I feel like we encourage that actually a lot in these interviews that we do. Most of our Ayurvedic experts, they bring to the table this idea of just observing and listening. And I mean, that's super inspirational from both sides of it, from the Ayurvedic side as well as a business that wants to do that wants to listen and hear those voices is incredible.
Oh, awesome. I love that. Thank you, Valerie.
Yes, this is great. Somebody else says in the chat, well, now I want to work for a B corporation.
You should. Yeah.
Do it.
Definitely. And
it.
I'll maybe I'll end on this as just a reminder to everybody that all B Corps have a public facing page.
Yes. Okay.
B Lab. If you were to Google Banyan Botanicals B Corp, it should pull up our public profile page, and all companies have that. And if they're a public company, then you can see all the answers in their assessment, which is pretty cool. Very cool. Do check that out. And if you have a business or you know someone that does, encourage them to start taking the B Corp assessment as a framework to learn, and you can use that for free. I think there's probably over like 80,000 companies that have used the assessment, but only maybe 4,000. Maybe it's a little more. I should have looked at this. Last I looked, I think it was around 4,500 companies that actually certified. So it's really, I mean, if you can think about that in the world, the only 4,500 companies certified, maybe a little bit more. So don't quote me on that.
Right. It's getting
very
big.
small.
Yeah. But it's getting, and it's international, isn't it? B Corporation. It's not. Okay. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have me back.
Yeah. Erin, it's such a joy to talk to you always, whether we're on Instagram Live or we're in face-to-face getting to chat with each other.
having a turmeric latte in Boulder.
Yes. I love that. Let's do that again soon. Yeah. But thank you so much, Erin, for joining today, and for, I mean, just this education plus all of the amazing work that you've spent a lot of your time at Banyan working towards. We just appreciate you so much. Thank you. Yeah,
and big appreciation. I have to just shout it out. It really is rooted in our DNA and our leadership team and our amazing CEO, Kevin Casey, who supports this with his heart and soul too. So, that has to happen at the leadership level, or it just wouldn't happen. But thank you. I will receive that gratitude, and I'm going to send it back out to all the people involved to share that with everyone in this process. Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. And thank you everyone for joining. I hope this was meaningful. And if we get questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. That sounds awesome. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any questions about anything we talked about today or something we didn't cover. And big love to all of you for being on this journey with us as well. Yeah. Ciao, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Okay, bye, everyone.